Mr. Camel for taking the notes for this meeting. Well done.
Hello, good evening, everybody.
Have we any apologies?
Chair, I've not received any, but some might have come in since we've done the check, so we can add them to the minutes when they're sent out. I don't know if anybody else has received any.
Okay, we'll do that. We have the minutes of the previous meeting. I guess you all got copies of them. On points of accuracy, are there any points for accuracy? No. Can I have a proposer and a seconder, please?
I'll propose them, Alex. Mary.
Thanks, Mary. Can we have a seconder?
I'll second, Alec.
Thanks, Willie. Matters arising. What matters have we got arising?
Chair, the only one that we had was Suzanne MacLeod had asked for Let's Play Fair to be included the last time, but wasn't able to make the meeting. So that's under matters arising just now.
So there's no action required there. Okay.
Chair, is it possible for me to say something about this just now?
Aye.
Hiya. I have to give my apologies because I can't stay on the meeting for very long, but I wanted the board to have a look at the Let's Play Fair, which is an initiative that's been organised by a charity called
Can you hear us? Could somebody say something so we can actually see if we can hear you?
Hello.
Say that again, Annette.
Hello.
I can hear fine.
Can you hear?
Yeah.
Yeah. Annette, can you say something, please, just so we can...
Good evening.
Perfect. Thank you.
Right, Suzanne.
Okay, are you able to hear me okay?
Yep.
All right, okay. Yeah, so I wanted to ask the board to consider looking at this initiative, which is a charity called Scope, which is about inclusive playgrounds for children with disabilities. So it's distinct from accessible playgrounds. It's about inclusivity, and it's about making sure that our playgrounds that we have are equally available to people with disabilities as well as to people without. And I just wanted to kind of raise it and bring it to the attention of the board, and hopefully the board would consider maybe adding something like this to our programme. I think it would be important, my apologies, my doorbell's going. I think it would be good if the board was able to ask the council to maybe do a bit of a scoping exercise within the area to see what exactly we have at the moment. I'm certainly only aware of maybe one or two playgrounds that might be accessible, and I just wondered if we could maybe ask the council to consider that, and then that would maybe inform our work in terms of the development programme.
Christine, can we leave that to you to take up?
Yeah, Chair, I think Councillor Goldie has his hand up. I don't know if he wants to say something there. Not sure if you've noticed that.
It's a really good idea, and I know that certainly whenever we had the play park built at Marmion, that was something that we did consider, and we involved parent councils from the schools and whatever in the area to make sure there was at least one piece of equipment on it that was accessible, well usable for kids with disabilities, and also to have a look at the play area to make sure that the access into the play area was disability friendly, and it's something I think that's really worthwhile. And there's other things as well that probably should be included in some of them, and that's sensory stuff as well. But certainly it's an idea that it stops the exclusion of kids using play areas.
Thanks for that, Willie. Lisa, you've got your hand up.
Thank you, Chair. It was just to add, if we're looking at a review of that kind of thing, could we also look at the Make Spaces for Girls principles? So it's this idea that girls have less access to play equipment because of various ways that playgrounds are developed and designed. So if we're looking at them anyway, could we add in those principles too?
Okay.
Chair, can I maybe say a wee thing? I know you brought me in and I passed over to Councillor Goldie. I've kind of looked into this a wee bit, Suzanne, obviously because you'd kind of put it on. The councils currently do take account of both accessibility and inclusivity in the design of all new play areas in North Lanarkshire. This includes designing accessible and inclusive equipment and the use of a variety of surfaces. A good example would be Clouden Road play area in Cumbernauld, which includes accessible paths and a wheelchair swing and wheelchair accessible roundabout. But we're always happy to discuss improving accessibility and inclusivity where possible, and happy to do this on an area-wide basis or individual site basis as well. So happy to look at that and we can feed that back. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for that, Suzanne. The local outcome improvement plan update, Annette. Sound?
Hi. The first subgroup is the public and community transport, and Camille has an update there.
Camille, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. So there is an update for both communication and engagement in public and community transport. Meeting has been scheduled, and we have identified people who are interested in. Just really let you know, if you are interested, anybody's interested in joining in, let us know through Vanel. Action plan has been agreed for subgroups. We are doing a mapping exercise at the moment, and planning to use people's life experience within those subgroups. I believe there is one group called Out and About who's interested in actually public and community transport subgroup as well. Communication and engagement priority. We're hoping to embed priorities, therefore there won't be need for additional communication and engagement work really, because we talk about communication at every time actually anyway. So also we'll be adding digital inclusion to it, because it's been identified that has to be included but not actually as a separate subgroup.
Thank you. Lisa Snedden is going to give an update on the green space maintenance and environmental quality subgroup.
Thanks, Annette.
Thank you.
So we've had an initial meeting where we agreed the action plan, and we've got another, we will arrange another meeting. There wasn't one arranged at the time. We would like to have more people on the subgroup, so we'll discuss that at the next meeting as well, whether we're going to invite people specifically. Well, we've already got a couple of extra people that we're inviting specifically, and then we'll start on the action plan from there.
Thanks very much. And around youth engagement, do we have an update from the police?
No, I don't think we have.
Okay, fire service?
And just on that, I don't think the youth engagement subgroup has met as yet. I think we're still identifying who the main players will be within that, and certainly that is planned quite soon. I think, Chair, we had identified maybe the police maybe want to do an update on the kind of work round about youth engagement with young people in terms of some of the issues that are taking place within the Cumbernauld area under that heading. So there's an opportunity there if they want to raise that.
Okay.
Okay, and digital inclusion. Like, can I ask you for an update on that, please?
Actually, we've got someone here tonight from the digital inclusion group, Adrian Waddle, who will make the report.
Thank you very much.
Adrian? We don't have sound, Adrian. Where are you? I've got your name on screen.
Can we maybe come back?
We'll come back to that, yep.
Okay. And we have targeted action within identified communities, and that is being supported by NHS Lanarkshire. I know that they've had an initial meeting. They are looking for new members. They have agreed their action plan and are also looking to identify the stats around 8 areas. Okay, and the food and financial security subgroup, the group have already met. They will be meeting every 6 weeks. The action plan has been agreed. The first action will be we've agreed to map out existing services. We've also agreed that community engagement and consultation should be part of that group, and also as it is around food and financial insecurity, the digital inclusion will also be embedded. The priorities for digital inclusion will also be embedded within that subgroup. So we are scheduled to meet again in 6 weeks' time. If anyone would like to be part of the food and financial insecurity subgroup, please let me know. We're looking particularly for those people who are working in projects that are providing direct services. And the final one was communication and engagement. As you've probably heard, most within each of the priorities, there seems to be a communication and engagement priority. So rather than make it a standalone, people are looking within the subgroups to include communication and engagement within each of the priorities of the subgroup. And that's an update on the subgroups, Christine.
Right, thank you for that, Annette.
Sorry, Alex.
Any questions from the board? No, I have a question actually. I'm on a couple of those subgroups, and on one or two occasions I haven't been able to attend the meeting because of pressure and other appointments. How and when do we get reports or notes or minutes from these subgroups to the members of the subgroups?
Annette, do you want to answer that? Or do you want me to take that?
If you want to take that, Christine.
Yep. Okay, Alex, we would ensure that all subgroups should be recorded, any discussions, who's attended, and that should be circulated. If you want to be a member of that, or you're indeed a member of it, as you're saying there, you should be included within that circulation. And then the feedback will come to the full board in terms of an update at each of the board meetings. But in terms of timescales when it will go out, obviously I wasn't at the meeting, so we'll double check that and we can feed that back to you, Alex. Is that
Right.
okay?
Yeah, that's fine, thank you. Community matters. Local community group presentation, out and about group update. Well, we had the out and about group.
Yeah, Chair, I think Annette's going to share a kind of presentation. That's okay? I think it's
Okay,
just coming up the screen just now.
as long as it's succinct and quick.
Very short.
We haven't got sound. We haven't got sound.
Annette, you need to share the sound before, click on the sound before you share it.
Where are we going with this?
Is there an issue in it?
I don't think any. I think she needs to unmute herself. Actually,
Yeah, I think so.
I think it's just an unmute.
Hiya, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right, sorry about that. Okay, I'm just going to share. Okay, this is from the Out and About group. The Out and About group have a number of priorities. The priorities are working with people to identify barriers to walking or wheeling. They've set up a small group and are engaging communities. They're specifically targeting older people and people with mobility issues. They want you to understand the local issues. They're looking for local solutions, including participation in the Lloyd subgroups, and that includes the green space and community transport.
Sorry, Annette, I don't see the presentation. I don't know about the others.
Can everyone see the presentation?
No.
Okay, I'm having. I don't know what's happening. I'm really sorry about this. Can you see this?
No.
Okay, according to this, I'm sharing it. If you want to come back to me in 2 minutes, I will try and sort this out.
It's working now.
Okay.
Is it working now?
Ah, there we go. Well done.
Okay. Everybody see this now?
Yeah.
Okay. Apologies. Okay, so they are working to identify the Out and About group. The priorities are working with group to identify barriers to walking. I'm sorry, this isn't. Yep, it's showing you parts of it. Christine, can you? Can I come back to this and try and sort this, please?
Yes. Okay.
Sorry about this.
Right. We'll take it later on. Just make a note of that. Okay. The next issue is the bin issue. Can you unshare your screen, Annette?
Apologies.
Right. The issue on the bins is an ongoing one, as we all know, especially with the introduction of these huge black bins. Now, these bins are not being emptied when they're full. They're being emptied on some sort of predetermined rota system, which is causing consternation. But the issue I want to bring up is that on the 7th October 2021, there was a motion at the council meeting at which it was decided that there would be a review of sites and a consultation with community boards. Is there any reason why that has not come forward? Councillor McPhillamy, you're on that group as are you not?
Yeah, I'm happy to come in on that. Yeah, so totally agree. Although I wasn't elected in October when that motion was passed,
Okay.
now on the relevant committee. One of the things I've asked for in recent weeks, bluntly, this should have happened over the summer. I was told on 10th of May that there was a review due imminently. We're now not in the 10th of May. We're now in September, and there's been no review.
Yep.
So that is something over the last week or so in particular since I've been appointed as the vice convener of that committee in the last week, have been pursuing. I'm told that review is now should be happening very, very soon, and I'll certainly be pushing for that. It's been on too long, bluntly. You know, you've highlighted some of the issues yourself. We know that clearly there was a cost-saving measure to this. Let's be frank about it. And therefore, there's been a reduction in quality or service quality as a consequence of that. We can't just, in my view anyway, we can't just settle for that and say, oh, well, it saved us money, but it's not working. There has to be a comprehensive review. Community boards have to be engaged with better. Communities have to be engaged with better. And there has to be a bit of common sense built into this system. So that's certainly what I'll be pushing for. I don't have a definitive timescale, other than I would very much hope, and I would be incredibly disappointed if it's not considered by the next committee, the Environment and Climate Change Committee, in its committee meeting, which I think is scheduled for November. So I would hope that the review would take place before then and will be concluded by then. But I'll get more details as soon as I have them, and certainly be pushing for that to happen in the next couple of weeks, and certainly by November, because there's no point dragging this on any longer than is necessary. We've all seen the issues. A lot of them are not insurmountable. Some of them are teething problems. I know certainly in my ward, there were areas that, you know, it was almost like, you know, I'm imagining an oversight where there was huge areas with no bins, despite the fact that there was perfectly suitable locations for bins. And over time, we've been able to get bins added, and that's made a bit of a difference. But the issue around when they're emptied is still there. You're right to say that they're emptied on a schedule, and that's clearly for cost purposes and efficiency purposes, so that they are emptied when they emptied as part of a programme rather than kind of ad hoc, which obviously has a cost implications and efficiency implications. But where there are issues, and I know there are a couple in my ward in recent weeks, where basically the bins are being used for commercial and household waste, which they shouldn't be. So they're filling up within 3 and 4 days, and they're on a 3-week schedule. And clearly that is not sustainable. And where there are issues where bins are full after 3 and 4 days and are lying for 2.5 weeks, essentially creating a havoc in the street, those can't be dealt with. You know, yep. They should be dealt with. They shouldn't be allowed, you know, left to sit for 2.5 weeks. Clearly there's an issue around, you know, if they're being used by shops or by residents. We sometimes actually, I know, you know, I've been advised by some of the officers that we've got people coming from other council areas to put their household bins in some of these bins for whatever reason. And that's obviously evident from the materials that they leave in these bins, you know, their address and all this, and packages. So clearly there are issues there that people are using these bins for what they shouldn't be used for. But those shouldn't be insurmountable. And, you know, as you say, the sooner this review is conducted with widespread input from the community board and from community councils and from residents, then the better, I think. So that was a long-winded way to say hopefully in the next couple of weeks, but certainly by the end of the year we should have a comprehensive review, and I would hope some changes to the system to accommodate that review, or to reflect that review, rather.
Right, thanks for that, James, because I think we can rely on you to do this. Let me say that my personal experience of these large bins is very good, particularly around the convenience stores. The school children are actually putting their waste in those bins. So, you know, we've got a success on one side and a total failure on the other. And it's not beyond the wit of man to actually get round that. Councillor Goldie?
It was me that actually moved the motion last year there, and to say I'm incredibly disappointed that when I've chased it up over 2 or 3 times, there's been little or no progress made in this at all, despite numerous complaints. And the reason we moved the motion to include consultation with community boards and community groups was because the bins were essentially put in places for access for the bin lorries, not for access by the general public for litter and dog waste bins. So unfortunately we've spent the years messaging the public to say bin your dog waste and then took the bins away. So I had a couple of meetings with Andrew McPherson and his team over the last couple of months, and Andrew's given me assurances that they know that some of the bins are in the wrong location, and they will be looking to try and change it. But I feel like been going on about this for months and months and months without any progress, despite all political groups in the council agreeing that a consultation and review should have been carried out, and just disappointed that we're in exactly the same position as we were in October last year when I first raised the issue. Well, I didn't first raise it, when I raised it as an official motion, hoping that we would get some kind of progress on it. But we'll wait and see.
Thanks, Willie. I think as James said, that we have to be careful on the board here, because there are certain things that have been done in order to continue good services in other areas. And this is, to my mind, just a blip that we need to get round. And things with the economy and so on are going to give us difficulties going forward that we have to bear in mind when we look at these things. And I would look at the elected officials and say, you folks, you need to do what you can. Willie?
Just a supplementary on that. When we're talking about cost savings because of the bin rollout, what's been the additional cost with the additional fly tipping and whatever that's been incurred within that? It's not joined up thinking. You know, it's a case of, if we were going to reduce the amount of bins and only put them in locations where the bin lorries could access, James will be the same. We're constantly phoning in fly tipping. We're constantly getting people who are now getting fixed penalty notices for fly tipping because, as James said, they're leaving confidential details in the bin. So we're taking action against them. But to me, it would have been better to have a consultation to find out where the bins were required and to get something sorted out, rather than go through this process of rolling it out, it didn't work, and then having to review the whole thing again. So we'll just wait and see.
Yeah, well, that's been a process from the Environmental Assets Group, when even under its old name, when they brought the small bins for your food waste that were collected here in my area on a Friday and blew around the rest of Cumbernauld on the Saturday. You know, it's just gone on. I think that's where we should leave this issue, because obviously the elected councillors will have it in their minds to pursue it on our behalf and bring it back to some semblance. Annette, you want to come in on this?
It's just to say I believe I'm now ready to share.
Right, okay, share.
Everyone see that?
Nope.
Okay, I'm just going to apologise. I don't want to waste time, and maybe if we give the out and about group the opportunity to just come in and tell us about their issues, would that be okay?
Well, we could do it that way, but I'd still like to see the presentation, and I would ask that presentation gets sent out to the board. Because it looks as if there's some useful information in there. Who speaks for the out and about group? And put your sound on. I see a face, two faces. No sound.
Hi. Is that better? Can you hear me now?
Yes, Chloe, we can.
It's actually Anne that's speaking, but I'm with Chloe, so apologies for that. So I'm being nominated just to speak on behalf of the Out and About group. It's a group of local people from Cumbernauld, and we've come together to look at some of the barriers to walking and what the issues are for particularly older people and those with mobility challenges, but also for the general population. We've come up with a wide range of issues, including the need for more resting places. Through our project, which has been running now for just over 2 years, we have actually put in a couple of benches, one in Ravenswood Nature Reserve and one near Our Lady's High School opposite that, for people to rest. But we've identified the need for far more resting places. We've also identified the need for better wayfinding and signage for people to find their way around. We find, particularly in Cumbernauld, because footpaths are separate from the road system, a lot of people who've been used to driving don't then know their way around, and trying to find your way around the footpaths if you don't know is incredibly difficult. Can you see the?
Yes, excellent.
That's great. So signage is an issue. The state of the pavements and the footpaths, and actually many missing pavements, are also issues we want. And we've talked about the move from driving to using public transport and the challenges of finding out information about that, and the fear of many people of having to give up driving. And in the time of climate change and trying to reduce short journeys, this is something that we feel quite strongly about. I don't know, are we able to share the video on it, do you think? Not sure.
I will try.
Don't worry if you can't. We can send that round. So that just tells you the dog bins, local bins. You'll see on that you've already talked about, particularly cars on the pavement. And for the members who do use mobility scooters or walking frames, cars parking in front of a dropped curb is a particular bugbear. The group's also very keen to be consulted and involved in the plans for the town centre regeneration. What you can see here, hopefully, is a video of Robert, so I'll see if the sound is with that. This is a video showing one of our group members attempting to access Cumbernauld Central Library and some of the challenges that he faced. And that's on the bottom level. So he did eventually manage to get in through sheer determination. Oh, the top level, sorry, that's up at the top level, having mastered the lift. Yeah, that was just one of the doors. There were other challenges that we've not got in the video there. So if you see in the slide there, what we need are more benches and places to rest, more pavements cleared from litter, more gritting on pavements clear from leaves and dog mess. Challenges around uneven pavements with the need for smoother surfaces and better signs to know where you're going. So these are some of the range of issues. I don't know if we've got sound here. I can hopefully pass to Elizabeth. Would you be happy, or do you want to?
You're pushing on time for me.
I'll play this.
Are you, can you play it?
Obviously not. Oh, here we go.
Hi, my name is Elizabeth and I am hoping to stop driving very shortly. And it's just to say the buses in Cumbernauld, there is no timetable at any of the bus stops as to when the buses come. And there's also no way of actually getting about Cumbernauld. I live in, I think it's called South Cumbernauld, just as you're coming into Cumbernauld. And although you can get a bus to Glasgow, Falkirk, Stirling or the town centre, you can't even get a bus into our village, which is just about a mile from where I live. I just would like to say it would be good if there was a better bus service to help people to get dropped off in cars. Thank you.
I don't know if you caught all of that or some of that. Hopefully you did get some of that.
Yep.
So I know we're short on time now, so but if I can quickly pass to Robert. They're hearing it.
Robert, do you want to say? Robert was the gentleman who was trying to get into the library.
Yeah, hello, my name's Robert and I'm the unfortunate person that's on a scooter, mobility scooter. I'm having to face I can't remember. Challenges every. I'm oh, drop kit. I'm facing challenges every single day. I'll get dropped down curbs. People are parking their cars, so I can't use them. You've seen me getting through, trying to get to the library, trying to get through the doors, and I'm having difficulty. I loved having my independence. I loved having my independence, but it's getting hard now that I need people to help me. That's me.
So the fact that we all can access different areas because some of us are fitter and more mobile than others doesn't mean that other people's needs and experiences should be ignored. So we would really like if some of the councillors could come to one of our out and about groups to actually meet us, to hear us, our experiences properly, and to actually maybe walk in our shoes to see how these experiences affect us. So we'd like to ask you if you would like to come to one of our groups. Are any councillors happy to come along to one of our groups?
And also, so we can talk about how we can get involved in the subgroups for the LOIP.
Okay. Any questions for the out and about group? I see quite a few of the councillors have signalled on the chat bar that they're willing to attend.
That's fantastic. Thank you very much indeed.
Sorry, can I just ask, I never took a note of what time it was on the 30th of September there?
Is it 10:15 at the Freedom City Church?
Okay.
We have cups of tea and biscuits, so you will get a warm welcome when you come.
That's been sold.
Brilliant. We meet on the last Friday of every month. So if you can't make the next meeting at the end of September, it's an open invitation anytime at all. My name's Chloe, and Annette can share my contact details. Please just email or phone me and we can arrange it. But it's not my group, it's the Out and About group, members group. So we've got 10 members here today who would love to meet you. And as I say, share their experiences. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks for that presentation. In fact, it shocked me to see the situation with Robert trying to get into modern doors in the 21st century. Christine, you want to?
Yeah, Chair, I just wanted to say what you've already said. Thanks very much to the group. They had really prepared that presentation and all their speech was ready to kind of be included within that. So I just wanted to say thanks very much. I know it's difficult to talk on this kind of meeting when you've already prepared it. So we really appreciate them putting that together and making the board aware of what the situation is for themselves. So thank you.
Okay, let's do catch up. Adrian, are you still with us?
Still with you, Chair, yeah.
Can you give us a report for the digital group, please?
Yes, I can. Hello, everybody. So the digital subgroup has now been operational for 1 year. Personally, I've only been involved for a few months, but thoroughly enjoying my place on the subgroup. There's an end of year report that's currently being worked on, so we're going to get our work marked up, and see if we get a thumbs up and a B or a C. But we'll also be looking at the membership for year 2. As usual, there's always the challenges to for representatives. But so we're looking for further people within the communities to join the digital subgroup. If you know of anybody, if you wish to stick an arm around somebody's back, I'm quite sure Alex the chairs of on the digital subgroup as well can contact Alec direct, myself, or Lynn Gow for some further information, and people would be happy to chat them through the work of the digital subgroup. The group's also been reviewing the Digital North Lanarkshire partnership strategy to ensure that it's aligned to the digital work being delivered by the group, and this will be fed back to the September meeting of the partnership. Well, I'm assuming everybody on the community board will be familiar with, obviously, Comms World. I'm not sure how many people attended the Comms World presentation at the end of June. It was very, very helpful, very informative, and the digital subgroup offered their own feedback. And we're now working with Comms World to shape the community benefits that will be offered as part of the connectivity contract. So there's a couple of key themes whereby Comms World will invest to support local decision making, and they'll be engaging with the communities in association with North Lanarkshire. Comms World will seek to address digital inclusion, hugely important, and they'll be working with the community boards in association with North Lanarkshire Council as well. And Comms World will invest actively, focus on the socio-economically disadvantaged areas and harnessing the Tech Share North Lanarkshire initiative as well. The group carried out a mapping exercise last year, so before I joined myself, so I don't know too much about it, but the group carried out a mapping exercise at the end of last year about the digital provision that exists within our communities. Unfortunately, the survey didn't have a great take-up, but Lynn Gow is now working with colleagues in education to extend this mapping exercise wider into the communities. There was also an intergenerational project that we were working with, and the project was phase 2 of the iPads in the community project, where 200 iPads and additional support was given to elderly tenants in retirement complexes. And it was great, the fact that it was actually supported by local school pupils from surrounding primary schools, and they were invited to take part in the project to support elderly tenants with digital skills. If anybody on the call would appreciate, if you want to know how tech works, ask the kids and they'll give you all the shortcuts. Unfortunately, the project, as many other things, was put on hold because of COVID. However, we'll be working with the new digital pedagogy practitioners and education to kickstart the project again. That's really my update here. I'm happy to take any questions, as I'm fairly new to the digital subgroup. I might not be able to have an answer straight away, but I will certainly note your question, and if Alec can perhaps answer it, if not, we'll get an answer back to you.
Any questions for the digital group? The digital stuff is across all of the subgroups. It has input in all of it. So this is the digital group, in fact, is a North Lanarkshire wide.
Yes. So because across shots, the Northern Corridor, Caside, Coatbridge, Wishaw, Cumbernauld, obviously Motherwell, Airdrie and Bells Hill, and there's great that we've got representatives from each of those areas, but obviously we would always on the lookout for more.
Yes, and indeed, the representatives we're really trying to get at is the people who are having difficulties with digital inclusion. We're not really looking for people from the board or that type of thing. It's people who have the lived-in experience of, I can't get it to work, I don't understand it. And that goes obviously for all of the groups. It's not you coming on the group, it's finding people in your organisation that can, in fact, go on these groups and provide us with the information.
Caroline, you have your hand up.
I haven't seen you for a long time.
I sneaked in because I was working late, Chair, so I'm really sorry. I was actually working with young people, so I do apologise.
I know you from your voice advocacy.
No, it's Who Cares Scotland. I'm
Yeah,
the
but
manager.
I know you from when I was with your voice advocacy.
No, I was previously with Who Cares, Alex, way back in 2009.
Yep.
So
okay.
I do remember you very well. That's just showing our age. That's not good. That's not
yes,
good.
that's right. A lot of history.
Yeah.
Okay, what have you got to say?
Thank you very much, Chair. Can I just quickly introduce myself for people who don't know? My name's Caroline Richardson. I'm the manager of the Who Cares Scotland Children's Rights and Advocacy Service covering North and South Lanarkshire. And we provide children's rights and advocacy for young people across North Lanarkshire, including young people in Cumbernauld. I just wanted to make a bit of a point to Adrian, and thanks very much for your input. Adrian, since the start of COVID, a lot of the formal processes that our young people and our care experienced people have been going through moved online. As a consequence of that, in terms of a lot of families who were through formal processes like child protection, children's hearings, it then became very difficult for them to be included in the digital processes. And a lot of the families were complaining, and the young people indeed, that they weren't feeling as if they were part of the formal processes due to the lack of kind of digital technology that was made available to them. Now, I know that some of the families really benefited from a lot of the kind of digital rollout that the council had did over the kind of COVID period. But I think it was just to give you a bit of an update in where we're at just now, because whilst we're now at the other side of the kind of, you know, COVID world, we still are working with a lot of families, not only in Cumbernauld, across North Lanarkshire, that are still experiencing the kind of digital exclusion. Indeed, I was at a children's hearing last week where a mother couldn't get on because her Wi-Fi wasn't strong enough, and the meeting had to be aired because the mother wasn't able to take part. So it was just to kind of highlight that I think it is still quite a major issue for a lot of our young people and a lot of our families. And I'm hoping that a lot of the work that you guys moving forward will continue to make sure that a lot of our young people and a lot of our families continue to be included in what is very, very important formal processes in relation to obviously their lives and their circumstances. So I just wanted to make that point.
One way that you could make sure that your point is made is getting somebody from your group to join the digital subgroup.
Yeah, absolutely, Alex. In fact, I would be happy to put myself forward to be part of that group, and at least that way I could probably provide regular updates, particularly on scenarios where we're finding that young people and families are feeling that they're not being able to make a proper contribution to, you know, the formal processes that they're involved in.
I think you've just passed it. I think you've just passed the interview process here very quickly, Caroline. So congratulations.
You recognised that, did you? Caroline, if you look at the chat bar, you'll see my email address. Send me your contact details and I'll pass them on. Gerard, do you want to come in?
Thanks, Chair. I suppose it's just to pick up on two things. Just one for Adrian in the first instance is with regards to, we've just taken on from education, you'll be aware of this, we've got 23 of the digital pathfinders, one in each of our clusters, so they're now in post. And what I'm just thinking about is, based on the project you were just talking about, we've got our Future Fridays that happens, and we've got our children and young people in schools where they could provide maybe that sort of technical support. I suppose it's just how you join up those people that you are saying are needing that support with the children and young people, and it's senior pupils, I would say, in our schools that could maybe do that. But the person or persons that can maybe help with that is the digital pathfinders. So if you were to email myself, I can put you in contact with, because I've got digital in my remit, I can put you in contact with one of the officers that might be able to help you with your project. Caroline, just to pick up on your point, there's been a significant amount of investment for children and young people during lockdown to ensure that they are digitally included. However, if there was specific names of children or schools even, if you were to pass them directly to me, I would ensure that we would be able to provide that connectivity you're talking about, and that can come in both forms of either a computer or the connectivity solution with a maybe a proviso that if we can, based on locations, etc. But if you were to email me, I can try and help with that issue as well. Thanks, Chair.
Annette, it's back to you for your next point. Chairing of the board.
Hi, we're looking, as you know, the chair holds the office for 1 year, and we're coming up, I think it's 3 months to the next chair is appointed. We have an expression of interest, but also if anybody is interested, I'm putting a name forward for vice chair as well. I have lost, somebody's fell off, so I do have an expression of interest for the chair. But because I'm not here,
And the expression of interest came to us, and it came from Lisa Snedden.
yes,
So
I've seen Lisa's just fell off there. I don't know what's happened.
So Lisa's shown an interest in taking over the chair. I know Alex was taking the chair and is due. Alex, I understand that your last date should be in November, December. So
that's right.
So it's to see. Obviously, we're putting it to the board to say, are people happy that Lisa Snedden takes over the role of chair following Alex's kind of end of his tenure? So that's what was put forward. Unfortunately, Lisa's dropped off for some reason, but it's to put that forward to the board.
Has the board any objections? How are we placed for the vice chair? Any takers?
We will provide training and support.
Also, if anybody is interested, just speak to us. Either contact Annette directly or myself or through Community Matters, and we can discuss it a wee bit more. I know sometimes people are a bit concerned about just putting their hand up and not knowing what the role consists of. So if you want to find out a wee bit more about it, then please get in contact with us, and we'd be happy to discuss that with you.
Any other updates from organisations? Okay. Moving on now, local engagement and consultation. Camille, that's up to you now, the Concordat.
I'm here. It just takes a couple of seconds because I'm typing in the at the same time. If you just give me a second. Yes, I'm here. Okay, an update on Concordat. So first of all, Community Concordat is consultation. It's agreement from NLP, which is collaboratively developing a Community Concordat agreement between North Lanarkshire stakeholders. So it's not just Vanel, as some people have indicated in the past. We are just one part of it. Concordat involves consultation agreement, which sets out shared values and approaches to empowering and investing in local communities to support improve well-being, equality, and sustainability. Basically, it gives people opportunity to talk about their own issues and how they want to be engaged and engaging in the future in the process. So it's not giving actual just opportunity, but asking how this will work for them in every locality. So those stakeholders will be, we have residents, the community of voluntary sector, there's members of community boards, public bodies serving North Lanarkshire, including North Lanarkshire Council, NHS, Lanarkshire, police and fire and rescue, businesses serving North Lanarkshire. So this update pretty much is regarding the stakeholder community Concordat events that will actually, or workshops if you like, that will actually be also involving focus groups. And those focus groups will be held in 9 community planning localities, will involve all key stakeholders. As I said, the residents, CVS staff, volunteers, public sector staff, people working in businesses. And it aims to maximize contributions from equality groups and key communities of interest, and that's including Black, Asian, and minority ethnic groups, unpaid carers, LGBTI+ groups, people with disabilities and long-term conditions, older adults, people with different faith communities, people on low income, and young people. And these will run from early September until early October. So every locality will have different event. And I'm going to copy a link to chat. Okay, that's the one. So you can actually go online and find out more about it. And if you're interested in attending any other locality than Cumbernauld, you can actually go online and register. There's even bright actual link for every single place. So my question is, if you could kindly share this link with other people, and I believe the events are taking place in the middle of the day around lunchtime. So if somebody's even like working, they can actually just pop in for a second, share their opinion and just go, without taking the off. And that was the plan. All the COVID safety measures were taken into consideration. It was quite hard to find all the venues, that would meet the criteria, which is ventilation, space, and so on and so forth. But it's done. So the purpose of these events is to gather information on how to basically improve North Lanarkshire. All the residents concerned about the challenges being faced by their families or community across North Lanarkshire, welcome to attend. People with ideas about how things can be improved, done better to strengthen the communities and local democracy as well, or just basically share views on how things could be done better through community and voluntary and public actually businesses as well. So it's pretty much for everyone. So you've got the link. What else I need to mention? Probably again, there'll be focus groups that will be held for the interest groups, and these focus groups will talk about details and how things can be actually done. I'm going to actually give you an email for the concordance. So if you have actually any questions, because I'm just a person who is providing an update, I'm not actively involved in organizing everything. So if you have any detailed questions, I'll give you actually an email to a person who's dealing with this, and that's pretty much all from me. Do you have any questions I can possibly answer? I'm happy to take. There's no questions. Just click on the link and find out your locality and register, please. It's free. Thank you. Alex, we can't hear you.
Next item on the agenda is Green Space Participatory Budget. Christine?
That's myself. Thanks, Chair. I've been asked by Maureen Kinloch from the council to give a wee brief update, just to let you know that the Green Space Participatory Budget and public vote is now open. There is a link to the web page which we can circulate to everyone, and it includes summaries of the shortlisted projects that have been put forward, together with a voting forum. That is on the Green Space Participatory Budget at North Lanarkshire Council. Please go on and provide your views if you can. That would be great, and I'll pop it in the chat bar. Thanks very much, Chair.
Thank you. Remembering Together the COVID Memorial. Annette, that's you.
Thank you, Alex. We are still looking for people to put their name forward to be part of the group that's looking at the COVID Memorial for North Lanarkshire Council. We have no representatives yet from Cumbernauld, and we're looking if anybody's interested. The COVID Memorial isn't just about people who have been lost, but it's about people who have been impacted. So those whose life were particularly struck, whether they were carers or anything else like that. If anybody's interested, can they please contact me directly, and I'll give them all the information. But it would be a great opportunity to get Cumbernaud's views within this memorial. Thanks very much.
Okay, anything?
There's also funding opportunities, Alex,
Yeah, I'm just
Just
coming
go
to
over.
that.
Yep. Okay, so the Recover NL Environmental Fund is opened. We will, I will put the information in the chat bar for you. But the environmental fund's opened. You can apply for it. If you're a constituted group, you can apply for up to £2,000. If it's a partnership, you can apply for up to £3,000. Cumbernauld has an allocation, and once that allocation, it will be based on a first come first served basis. So if you're interested, I'll put the link in the chat bar, and if anybody needs any help with the application, if they just give me a shout. Also, to remind you that the grant award programme at North Lanarkshire Council is opened and closes on the 9th of October. And it's very, very strict, and that is the grant award for the annual grants, and that is which will be paid the next financial year. So please, I'll also put the information on the chat bar for this as well. If you need any advice or any support, the information's there. You'll be able to click on it. There'll be contacts there. But if you need to run anything by me, please just be in touch. CAPSI funding, unfortunately, it's all been allocated. And if there's any other funding that any of the other organisations maybe know about, if anybody would like to share the information, and in particular maybe the Health and Social Care Consortium, as you know that there is grants available, local grants available for those who fit into the health and social care. Thanks very much.
Any questions for Annette? Okay. Gerard, you've been very patient, sir. You're on next.
Thank you, Chair. There's a few updates, and probably one that you would be, I suppose, most interested around is around transport. You'll be aware of what happened, probably through, this is to do with school transport, and what happened at the beginning of the school term. So just a quick background in this. Local authorities in Scotland have got a legal obligation to transport pupils, taking account of distance, safety, medical conditions, and additional support needs. We transport about 8,000 young children across North Lanarkshire. We have 250 contracts in place. Along with 10 other local authorities, we use an agent, SPT, to, if you like, advertise, award, monitor the performance of the contracts, and we pay a significant sum of money for that service to SPT for doing that to us. What unfolded on the 16th of August, bear in mind the children returned on the 17th of August, was that at 2:30 p.m. we received notification from SPT to say that 41 contracts and 1,600 pupils were not going to get to school on Wednesday, the start of the new school term. Bear in mind, there's primary 1 children who are just starting. There's also children who have transitioned from primary 7 into S1. Just in case you're wondering, because people will reflect back and say, well, how did you not know about this? The week before, SPT on their system told us that 99.1% of the contracts were complete. So just to say that again, the week before, 99.1% of the contracts were complete. We had no indication about the fact that there was going to be such a significant disruption to the travel for our children and young people. We then had to set up a corporate resilience, or through the corporate resilience framework, a contingency planning group that had members from across the council to review and provide information to parents and carers, link with SPT to really set up things like the helpline, and obviously push for contracts to be put in place. Providing information to schools. I met with their head teachers almost on a daily basis at the beginning. And most importantly, look for establishing alternative transport provision which meant that we had to lease 10 buses. And this is where the blue bins were affected, because we had to take staff from waste services to drive the buses, but then they're not PVG'd. So then in addition to that, we had to put our own staff, sometimes head teachers and deputies at the beginning, but our support staff on there to ensure that those buses can run. So by Friday, the 26th of August, we got from 41 contracts down to 0. However, cards on table, I have to say that there has been double runs. In some places there were triple runs. And those are the problems that we're trying to resolve at the moment. And this obviously had an impact on schools across North Lanarkshire, including in the north as well. Impact, huge, reputational. You saw online from social media. We solved one problem of the transport to a point, and then the next one is the impact on blue bins. The financial impact as well for the council, and for us, we are looking at and trying to quantify the costs of the failure by SPT. I know sometimes the public will look at this and say this is North Lanarkshire Council, but we have been very clear that this was SPT who made an apology for the mistake. They have put up their hands to say that they have made the mistake. They just didn't do it with North Lanarkshire, although we've got the biggest number of contracts through them, but it had an impact on other local authorities. So I think that was a significant event. Obviously then there was an impact on the bins. And then the next thing that comes our way, which you'll be aware of, is the communication that's been sent out about the industrial action, which is due to take place, planned industrial action. However, I haven't seen the news, but I know that the First Minister herself was going into emergency discussions with trade unions this afternoon. I don't have the update, but this will have an impact on our single status staff from the 6th to the 8th. That is for schools, facility support staff, like our janitors, our cleaners, our support staff, which means that all our schools will, that's our early years, primary, secondary and ASM, will all be closed from the 6th to the 8th, Tuesday to Thursday of next week. We do not expect any picketing outside our schools. Our school staff who are not on strike will be able to go into the schools. Our parents and carers have been updated. Our head teachers and heads of centres have been updated and have been given guidance for those days. This may change in the next 24, 48 hours. I am not sure, but this will have a significant impact for our children and young people as far as their education is concerned. One of our biggest concerns, a bit like during COVID, is those children who are on our child protection register. And what we will be doing is we will be ensuring that there are daily phone calls made to every single child who's on our child protection register to ensure that we, our head teachers and heads of centres, will be keeping in contact with the children and young people and their families. This will put a significant strain on families during that period. Another thing that the council is doing is those children who are entitled to free school meals and who are not going to be there, money will be put directly into parent carers' bank accounts to take account of the 3 days. It is just something. I know it's not the same environment from a school perspective, but we are aware of the hardship for many of our parents and carers as a result of this planned industrial action. So I think it's worth the board knowing these things that have been going on from an education perspective. So I don't know if there's any specific questions around that. I've got a couple of other updates, but I know I'm hogging it a wee bit with regards to education, but I'd be happy through you, Chair, if there was any questions about that before I move on.
Caroline?
Thank you, Chair. I'll just put my hand down. I think I'm probably going, how would you say, back the way, but I think in terms of the vulnerable families, Gerard, I think it's absolutely fantastic that you're already putting in place, you know, that sort of financial support. I think that's absolutely critical for the families that you've identified, and at least that means that for those days, you know, that the families will not be out of pocket in terms of having to, you know, find, you know, lunch and stuff like that as well. So I think that's really, really plausible. I think also as well, the bit for me that I'm really, how would you say, really comforted by is the fact that a local authority who has been placed in such a position by an agent that you trusted and relied on can so quickly make a decision to like move your resources. As much as the bin strike is, I think that needs to be seen as another issue, because you know, that's separate, but the fact that you've been able to put the kids first again and actually move your resources very quickly to try and deal with the transport issue is, you know, absolutely amazing. I would say, you know, can you look at another agent other than XPT moving forward? Because what they've done is really let so many of our school children down, particularly as you identified kids that are transitioning from P7 to first year. And this should have been like a really, really positive experience for them, and it wasn't. However, it is what it is. I think the final thing to say is, you know, my daughter's actually in fourth year. She's starting to do her exams, and I'm just worried about people like her and her peers and what they've been through with COVID, and now what they're going through, the impact of 3 days. That's very significant for her in terms of her preparation for exams. So, you know, again, it's just that bit about, you know, we need to recognise the world that we're in, but we also need to make sure, I'm hoping that there is plans in place through GLOW and things like that, where my daughter and her peers can continue to keep up with, you know, the education and with their, you know, learning and stuff like that, and it won't have any sort of major impact on how she then progresses and how her peers progress in terms of their exams.
Yes, I think it's important that to recognise how fast the council moved here, and how quickly they got it organised. It was bound to disturb other things. I mean, it's disturbing times, and it's what I said at the beginning of the meeting. We're going to be going through that, not just tonight, but at other nights. But congratulations to the council for its actions with regards to this, Jerry.
Thank you, Chair. Just to respond just to a couple of points. We are in daily talks with SPT, as you can imagine, to ensure that we have a resolution, because we need to get staff who have come from waste back into that position to ensure the blue bins get collected again. And that is probably an aim for probably the end of next week. We're hoping that will be the case. However, like everything, it takes a bit of time to ensure that we have got the right workers in place for those buses. Yeah, we're into negotiations and speaking with SPT about lessons learned, etc. So there'll be more, I suppose, discussion with them. You're absolutely right about your daughter and many children, whether it be early years, primary, secondary, ASN, that will be impacted. But what, just as you mentioned, there is the GLOW system. There is. And we're very fortunate in North Lanarkshire that we have got what we call the digital classroom. So staff are aware of the fact of the dates, and information is being posted and put into that to ensure there's that digital offering for the children and young people. But you're right, it will have an impact, and we've seen that through COVID as well. However, to minimise that impact, that's why resources are being put online. Chair, are you okay? Because one of the things that happens of the community coordinators is that there's updates that come in from different groups, and I've just got two other points, if I can make them very briefly, Chair.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so this is under planning and regeneration from new supply. So a compulsory purchase order is being completed for submission for Millcroft. Sanctuary Housing Association is liaising with North Lanarkshire Council to rehouse some of the owner-occupiers who wish to be moved before the CPO takes place. So that's one of the updates. And the second one is in relation to the master plan for the Cumbernauld town centre. So the master plan options have been developed for the town centre. This will form the basis of the town action plan for Cumbernauld, subject to, and this is the really important part, listing proposals for the centre of Cumbernauld. Discussions are ongoing with Historic Environment Scotland regarding listing of the centre Cumbernauld. decision we believe will take place round about October of this year. There is an appeals process listed. NLC and the Historic Environment Scotland survey has shown strong support for not listing, building and delivering proposed master plan for the town centre. There's also various funds that have been submitted to, if subject to it not being listed, to support the acquisition of the centre of the town centre Cumbernauld. So just a couple of updates about Millcroft in regard to Sanctuary Housing Association, another one to do with the town centre. So they're just a few updates for you.
Okay, any questions for Gerard? Well done, well done. Right then, we go on to the next part on our agenda, which is local development. That's Matt, isn't it?
Yeah, thanks, Chair.
Matt, you've been patient as well.
Well, thank you. Thanks, Chair. This report is just to update the Community Board in relation to progress of projects that have been funded through the Local Development Programme, and to highlight the route in relation to project proposal forums and how we're handling project proposals that come from our local communities. So it's just to make people aware of that and to make the board aware of that, Chair, and happy to take any questions if there's any questions on that.
Okay. Any questions for Matt? No. We're at AOCB, are we not? NHS tobacco control team input? No, nobody from there.
Chair, I
we
don't
got-
think there's someone from there. I think Gabby was meant to do it, but I think Gabby's on annual leave at the moment. So I don't think there's anyone here to give that tonight.
All right, it's fine. Now we're looking at, we have a presentation from Who Cares? Caroline?
I actually didn't realise that I was here to do a presentation. I'm a wee bit kind of, how would you say, not prepared. But what I would want to suggest, so within the papers, the agenda papers that were sent out, there's a fantastic newsletter and update that people can have a look at in relation to the work of the TNT group, which is the Today Not Tomorrow group. If I could just give you a bit of context. So since probably 2017, the local authority have invested in building a strategic framework for care experienced young people. And part of that framework would include care experienced young people being able to kind of sit strategically alongside the sort of kind of decision makers of the local authority. Gerard is one of them, the Chief Executive, Director of Social Work, and what they've done over the last 4 and 5 years is they've worked really hard to look at specific issues in relation to our care experience population across North Lanarkshire, whose outcomes in relation to, you know, their peers have been woefully inadequate and have been like that for quite a considerable amount of time. So they've been working really hard to basically improve the lives of care experienced young people across the local authority. Now, what we've put in is a newsletter that kind of gives you just a taster and a bit of an example of the work that the care leavers, along with the Champions Board, have actually done to make a lot of change. What I was going to suggest, Alex, because I was kind of caught a wee bit short, was I wondered if I could maybe come along to the next board meeting with a properly prepared presentation, which would actually give board members an opportunity to see how the link between advocacy, participation and voice has actually enabled us to get to a place in North Lanarkshire where we have this very strategic group who are making a lot of transformational change for a lot of our care experience community in North Lanarkshire. But I would like to maybe take the opportunity to do a sort of proper presentation. And I would also like to maybe see if I could actually invite one of the care experienced young people who sit on the Champions Board, because they're the people that you want to listen to. It's not me, it's them that you want to listen to, because those are the ones who actually this whole process impacts the most. So I apologise that I'm not prepared tonight, but if I could ask, Chair, if I could maybe have something on the agenda for the next board meeting that I could actually do a full overview and input to the board in relation to advocacy and participation and the Champions Board.
I think we could pencil that in, Christine, couldn't we? But I would caution you, Caroline, that I think the maximum time would be allowed is about 10 minutes.
I can do it in 10, don't you worry.
I'm sure you can. But it's just to make sure that we don't go on and on and on and on. It makes you focus, as you know, in a presentation. It makes you focused in there.
Absolutely.
Yes.
But please, can you please have a look at the newsletter? The newsletter actually comes out on a quarterly basis, and I cannot praise enough the work that these care experienced young people within our communities in Cumbernauld and every community in North Lanarkshire are doing and have done to enhance the lives of care experienced people in this local authority. And we will continue to update you with the quarterly newsletters as well. But I really look forward to being able to give you a proper presentation at the next board meeting.
I don't think there's any harm, is there, Christine, in people or groups wanting to let us have their newsletter, not necessarily to come along here and read it, but just to send it out to the board members so that they know what's happening in the area and the board members can read it or not.
Yes, Chair, we would be happy to circulate information for local community organisations to the board. That's not a problem.
Okay. Fine. Right, the last item we've got now, there's a couple of things. We haven't got police here tonight or the fire brigade. What's up?
Hi, Chair, I'm here from the fire service.
We haven't got any report. We've got your report, so let's take it now.
Yeah, I submitted my report, Chair. If there's an issue with getting that, you can let me know and I can resubmit it. Thanks.
We've got it. We've got it here.
No problem. Okay, well, a
Is
quick
there
introduction.
anything you would like to add?
No, I can give a quick update on the report if you would like. The only one thing I've got to add on top of that is the unfortunate fire that we had in Glenfine Road. I'll just give a little update on that. If you would rather that rather than a report on what I've already submitted.
No, bring us up to date rather than what you've submitted.
Yep, no problem. So unfortunately we had the fire in Glenfine Road. The joint investigation is still ongoing and it was actually within Q2, not Q1, which we're reporting on tonight. So there's not really a great deal we can share in terms of the joint investigation, but what I can report at this stage is that we've carried out significant engagement with the local community, with North Lanarkshire Council. We've provided reassurance and home fire safety advice to over 800 homes within the local area. And that's really the update that I can give you for Glenfine Road just now.
There's no lessons learned at this stage, is there?
Not at this stage, Chair, because it's still the investigation's still ongoing. Hopefully, by the time we come to the next board meeting, that I will be able to share some more information in terms of what exactly started the fire and things like that.
Give people a warning.
Absolutely.
Okay. The police are not present. Is there a reason for that? No.
Chair, I don't know if they've sent in their apologies. We can double check that, and as I said before, we can add that to the minutes if they've sent the apologies over.
Well, I was getting all excited and looking forward to receiving something about quad bikes, which has disappeared into the ether. I think we should be updated on the success or otherwise of that. Okay, we come to any other business. Board members first. Any other business for board members? Matt?
Chair, if it's okay, can I give a couple of updates just on some things that have come in? One of the first things just to update you on, as you mentioned, the quad bikes there. We're looking at that at the moment. There are some procurement issues relating to that, and it's taken a bit longer for us to process that at the moment, and we are working on that just now in conjunction with Police Scotland, and we'll give further updates to the board as we're able to take that process forward. So I just wanted to update on that for one thing. A second thing is in relation to petitions. You may be aware, you will be aware that petitions used to come to the community boards. The administration after the election in May changed that and have now created a petitions subcommittee. So petitions can now come into the council from the sources they normally come from, but they'll now be considered by the community partnership team. Initially, the community partnership manager will consider that, and then from there we'll go to a petitions subcommittee for consideration and decision on the basis of those petitions. So they won't be coming to the boards as they did before, but just wanted to make people aware that's no longer on the agenda for the community boards, and you'll see that changing to the subcommittee, which I believe will be meeting sometime this month, and then subsequently on a scheduled basis thereafter. The third thing I wanted just to update on, Chair, if it's okay, is in relation to the UK Shared Prosperity Fund. There'll be further information coming to boards in the future in relation to this, but I just wanted to give you some update on that. The local authorities have been awarded conditional allocations from this. This is funding that's been used to replace the EU funding following the decision to leave the European Union. Local authorities have awarded a set fund. North Lanarkshire Council has been allocated just under £14 million, and the North Lanarkshire Investment Plan will form part of the Glasgow City Region Investment Plan, and that's been submitted to local authorities within the Glasgow City Region. Following committee approval on the 29th of August on this plan, further funding will be phased in over a 2.5-year period, with final spend towards the 31st of March 2025. There will be further information, more detail on this will come to the community boards. But what we wanted to do was just give you some information that this is going to be coming and the kind of areas it's going to be covering. It's going to be looking at people and skills, employability support, support for local businesses, grant funding for businesses to support SME business growth and targeted support for startups, and communities in place, delivery of a series of challenge funds to support active travel, enhance sports, arts, culture, heritage, etc. Bespoke support for tourism and marketing. These are just some of the areas where the funding has been looked at to be considered for the 9 community boards across North Lanarkshire. But as I said, more detail and the specifics of this will be brought to future boards, but we just wanted to make the board aware of that through an initial update at this stage, Chair.
Right, that's good. Thanks very much for that information. I would just pick you up on the petitions. As you know, I had a petition sent to me from a resident in Cumbernauld in May. I still have no resolution as to what's happening to it, except it's being passed on to this new group. I said to Christine and Annette, I was concerned about the fact that the petitions, while put on our standing agenda, were removed from our standing agenda without due consultation with us. Now, I didn't think they should have been there in the first place, so that nails my colours to the mast. But I think when these things are done, that under matters arising, they should be raised there and said, this is a change that's happening. I hope you agree.
Yeah, I note your comments. I totally understand that, Chair, and we'll reflect that in a minute.
Okay. Anything else, folks? No? Well done. We got through quite a lot of business tonight at a good rate of knots without really missing anything, except we missed the police. They're not here tonight. Okay, thanks very much. Have a good evening.
Thanks,
See you all soon. Cheers.
Thanks, Chair. Good night, everyone.
Thanks, Chair.